Once again, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Gemi, and today we're going to be talking about two very important properties of the DOM: InnerHTML, InnerText, and TextContent. InnerText, InnerHTML, TextContent, they sound very similar, but they are very different. They are all on a similar level. They are all properties that I use to update and manipulate the web, HTML content on the web, but they have differences in their behavior, in the contents they include, and in the way they handle the contents that they include. I honestly feel InnerHTML is the big boss because of how broad the content it returns is. When you call on InnerHTML, it gives you the power to access and modify the entire HTML structure, the tags, the styling, everything included. InnerHTML gives access to that. InnerHTML returns the entire HTML structure. When you call InnerHTML on an element, it returns all the child elements, including their HTML structure, their tags, their styling, like I mentioned earlier. It returns everything. So if there is a need to access or generate or modify HTML content in its full form, InnerHTML is your guy. However, here's the trick, which when you use InnerHTML on user-generated content, it opens up your application to security vulnerabilities like SSS attack. So the gist is to always sanitize your content, your user-generated inputs before before using it with InnerHTML. There's a sanitize input function that is used for this. But we want to take it a notch further. I think there are frameworks that are also used to sanitize HTML, user-generated HTML content. And let's see InnerHTML and all in action here. I have my HTML document here. I have like a very lean structure. I have the header that has like an header topic, which the topic of what we're talking about: InnerHTML, InnerText, and TextContent. And then we have a nav bar that has hyperlinks, 3 hyperlinks, 4 actually. 1 is hidden, while 3 are going to be available for our user to see on the web page. And this is our live server here. We have our header, and we indeed have our nav hyperlinks. Okay, so let's go back to now. We are going to be calling on this element itself, this element that houses both our header and our nav. It has an ID called my element. So let's call on it. Let's assign it to a variable. Let's call it element. Const element is equals to document dot get element by ID, element by ID. Now call the ID of the element you're trying to get my element. All right, great. Okay. Now let's console the log. Console the log element dot InnerHTML. All right, let's check our console and see what it brings for us. According to the explanation, InnerHTML, because we are calling InnerHTML on this my element, it's supposed to display all the child elements inside my element div. Every child element, the order, the navs, their styling, their tags, we're supposed to see everything. Now let's confirm that, guys. Okay, this is my console. As you can see, voila, we have it. The HTML tag, the style, everything is here. Everything is logged here. This is what InnerHTML does. It returns everything, the entire structure, the entirety of that element is called upon with InnerHTML. The tags, the style, whatever it is that is inside it is called. Even the one that is supposed to not be displayed is also displayed, is also seen. We can also access it. So we access everything inside the elements using InnerHTML. Moving on to InnerText. InnerText is like a younger sibling to InnerHTML. But as opposed to InnerHTML that displays all of the HTML tags and everything, the styling, InnerText targets and accesses just the textual content that is visible. Oh my God, that is visible. That is visible to the user. So it gives you what the user can see. If the user can see it, InnerText can see it. If the user cannot see it, InnerText cannot see it. So if there's an hidden content somewhere, if you have set display to none, it's not going to see it. For example, in our code, we have payment. The payment link is set to display none. We don't want our user to see it. So by the virtue of that, InnerText will also not see it. It does not see hidden content. It does not access HTML tags. It does not display CSS styling like InnerHTML does. It doesn't do all of that. It only sees what the user can see. Let's see it in action. All right. So we are going to call our InnerText on our on the same element, don't forget that we are calling InnerHTML first. I'm not going to take this out so that we can compare it, and InnerText second. So let's try to check it in the console. This is where we have. This is our InnerHTML console output. It has the style and tags. But this is our InnerText. If you notice, there's a very huge difference. We do not have the tags. We do not have the styling, and also we do not have the hidden content. That last link, the payment link, is not visible. It's not visible for us to see here. InnerText is not accessing that for us. So InnerText does not access any child element that is hidden. It doesn't give us the CSS or the HTML tags. It just gives us it gives us the content the same way a user will see it. Exactly what is displayed to the user here is what we have our InnerText displaying for us. Yeah. By the way, InnerText is very, very useful in scenarios where you're trying to extract visible content for processing or analysis. Last but not the least is TextContent. If you need your raw text content, your raw text, the way it is in your markup, then TextContent is your guy. And the difference between TextContent and InnerText is that TextContent accesses even text that are not displayed to the user. So regardless of whether the user sees it or not, TextContent will get it for you. So if it doesn't work with styling. It just gives you your TextContent the same way you have it in your markup. And regardless of the visibility of any child elements, TextContent returns it all. It returns all elements. So let's try to check it in action. So looking at our output here, as you can see, as opposed to our InnerText, our TextContent here displays our hidden text, and it displays the TextContent the exact same way it is in our markup. We have payment, which happens to be an hidden text, but here it is TextContent has the ability to access hidden text. So what are the key differences between all three? Let's go over it again. For InnerHTML, you can use it to access and modify the complete HTML content, including your child element, your style, your tags, and everything. For InnerText, it can be used to access and modify visible text that are visible to the user. It does ignore hidden elements. And for TextContent, it accesses, modifies all textual content, including hidden content. As to when to use each of those properties, use InnerHTML when you need control over your HTML content, and don't forget to always sanitize your user input when you're using InnerHTML. Use InnerText when you need to modify the displayed text without affecting formatting or tags. And use TextContent when you need to access all textual information within an element, including hidden content. It is very, very, very essential that you know which one to choose depending on your specific goal. And of course, if you have any questions, additions, subtractions, suggestions, don't forget to add it in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification for more tech and coding content. My name is Demi. Bye.